As you can see in the slideshow, the houses and apartments in Estonia are pretty contemporary and modern. But as we all know from history classes and common sense, people didn't always used to live in such nice houses. Back then, people used to live in houses with dirt floors and shared a living area with animals. Plumbing and electricity weren't even a thing back then. Today we decided to talk to you about how Estonia's architecture came to be and how much our housing options have changed. The oldest written sources describing Estonian villages date back to the 13th century, when they were mentioned in the Liber Sensus Daniae and by the chronicle Henry of Livonia.
Village styles varied according to geographical regions, each having its own characteristic features. In the flat plains of northern Estonia and Saaremaa are seen the oldest forms of village, where farms are assembled in compact clusters, with denser clusters found in the northwest. In hilly country of southern Estonia, a more dispersed type of village was found. In the east, on the coast of Lake Peipsi and the eastern part of Setomaa, the classical street-type village was predominant, while road-type villages can be found all over the country. The Estonian farmhouse has a unique architectural style that differs fundamentally from similar buildings in the neighboring countries. Its evolution is connected with the Estonian staple black bread and agrarian tradition dating back some 4,000 years, with the threshing barn and dwelling housed under the same roof, thatched with reeds or rice straw.
When modernization came to Europe in the 18th century, people's views of culture and politics started changing a lot. Even more, their attitude and the way they thought started changing as well. Since they mostly worked outside of their homes started to be more like their little sanctuaries, where they could escape from the outside world, and the big world started to turn much smaller for them. In the middle of the 19th century, Estonia started to change from the rural country bumpkins to more of a modern Western society. In the beginning, everybody used to live under one roof and strangers turned into families. Back then, they didn't hide between the four walls of their homes, but lived a very social life, and they had weddings and funerals with the whole community instead of just their blood relatives and friends.
The form of a traditional 19th century farmhouse is a long chimneyless building with low walls of horizontal logs and a high straw thatched roof. The log walls are 1/3 and the roof 2/3 of the total building height. The building has three sections: the threshing floor, the kiln room, and the dwelling chamber that was used as the primary residence during the winter. The kiln room was the only heated room, and all indoor activities were carried out there. During the autumn it was used to dry grain. From summer to autumn, cooking was performed in an external summer kitchen, and people slept in hay lofts and storerooms.
A while after that, it all started changing. People started to back away from each other and hide themselves from strangers and family alike. They started locking doors, using doorbells, and when people came to visit, they had to call ahead and always knock before entering. Whereas back in the peasant days, the houses didn't even have that many different rooms, and because of that, they didn't have any privacy. There was no electricity, waterworks, plumbing, bathrooms, or other things that for us are completely natural. They didn't have light, warmth, cleanliness, or comfort, but the people were happy with where they lived.
The first attempts to improve Estonian farmhouses were made in the 19th century because the European intellects didn't like the way the Estonians lived. First, they wanted to get rid of the smoke in the houses, since they didn't have chimneys yet. The thing that changed country life the most in the second half of the 19th century was capitalism. While before houses were usually built out of wood, bricks and stone started to become more popular. Also, as mentioned before, everybody used to live together, even the so-called servants, but after capitalism has hit Estonia, people started separating some areas of their houses. Servants started living in separate parts of the house, which sometimes even had separate kitchens. During that time, people started decorating their homes more and started using more expensive furniture, and even guest rooms became a thing, which were far more luxurious than the normal living quarters. Even since then, Estonia's sense of architecture has been growing rapidly. When urbanization started to become more popular, so did large apartment buildings, which is probably the most common housing option right now. Estonians came from living a shabby dirt-floored farmhouses to living a more comfortable lifestyle in cozy apartments that have all the life necessities they didn't have before.